Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, why is NASA asking for even more money? Also, who stole the show at the Met Gala? All that and more on the way next. Welcome to the Hudson Show from RadioU. Let's start with this. A recent poll of 1,000 coffee drinkers and 1,000 tea drinkers has found some of the main differences in personality that are more likely to occur depending on which drink you prefer. Some of the examples that coffee drinkers are more likely to be introverts, more likely to like indoor activities such as watching movies, and more likely to sleep in later. No surprise there. Whereas tea drinkers are more likely to be early risers, prefer outdoor activities, and are a little more extroverted and adventurous. So in other words, tea drinkers are a lot more interesting. It's there. I said it, and maybe that's why so many coffee drinkers are more likely to make coffee drinking their entire personality. I'm sorry, I'm a coffee drinker too, but come on. Let's look in the mirror here. A great episode on the way for you. It's the Hudson Show. NASA is asking U.S. lawmakers for even more money. That's right. Last week, NASA requested an additional $1.5 billion, which the funny thing is, in the grand scheme of things, does that, like in our government, does that even feel like that much? But the reason they want $1.5 billion more for their budget is because they are concerned they may need to bring back the International Space Station sooner than expected. I don't know if you know this, but the International Space Station is already supposed to be brought back down to Earth, decommissioned, deorbited by 2031. But they're concerned an emergency situation may arise where they're going to need to get it back down here sooner. And by the way, the International Space Station, pretty large, pretty difficult for them to return it back to Earth. Now, if I was one of those lawmakers in this hearing where I, had to make decisions, I would ask this question at the risk of sounding stupid. Why can't we just leave it there? It's already crowded enough here on Earth. Clearly, it's going to be an expensive, tall task to get it back here. It's not getting in anybody's way up there. Can we just not leave it? I think seems like that'd be the affordable option. If you ever have a workplace drama that you need sorted out, the Hudson Show is here. You can send in your dilemma to 8772 RadioU, and we're happy to help. Get ready to chime in with your thoughts on this story from a gal who says, I'm the type of person that from time to time likes to bring in baked goods for the office to share. That's really nice. But recently, last week, I brought in a bunch of cookies for everybody to share in the office. However, one coworker liked the cookies so much that she asked, can I take some of these cookies home to share with my family? A little backstory on this coworker. She has 7 kids and also wanted cookies for her mother and her husband as well. I said no, that I brought them for the team here to share, and ever since, she's been rude and nasty to me. What should I have done? What should I do? Do I need to apologize? 8772 RadioU. Where do you land on this one? You bring in cookies for the office to share. Somebody wants to take them all home for themselves. Some good responses coming in. Leah says, it's kind of you to bring cookies in for your coworkers. She was rude to ask you for that. I don't know if it's necessarily rude to ask, and the only reason I say that is because wouldn't everybody be even more upset if this woman was spotted at just snatching 10 cookies for her family without asking? But nevertheless, Leah goes on to say, if her behavior continues, then you need to address it. If she continues to be rude and unprofessional to you, you should go to HR or your boss, because you shouldn't have to work in a hostile work environment when you just did something nice for the office. I think all of that I can get behind. We also heard from D, who says, tell her no. You were right to tell her no, but tell her it's because you didn't bring enough to share with everybody's families. But you'd be glad to share the recipe with her, which is also what Regina suggested. If you feel comfortable, give up the recipe to her. That actually could be a really nice thing to do. And yeah, that kind of lets you off the hook. And I think too, nobody's going to argue that this woman should not have asked to take 10 cookies back because, and this is a rule we always go by here on the Hudson Show, what if everybody did that? What if everybody was just like, oh yeah, I want to bring home enough cookies for my family as well. Then all of a sudden, all the cookies are instantly gone after like 2 people get to give some cookies to their family. So either our baker has to bake, just an absurd amount of cookies, or more likely, she's just going to stop because they're getting taken up way too quick. So, she shouldn't be rude to you. I think you did the right thing to tell her no. I'm actually impressed that you had it in you to do that, because I don't think I could. But I'm impressed that the coworker actually went ahead and asked such a wild ask. But at least she asked instead of just stealing them all without saying anything. I think we've solved this. Fired or hired. I think you're in the clear. We're going to send astronauts back to the moon anytime soon. There are some certain challenges that we need to address. And one of them you may not know about is keeping the astronauts in shape. Apparently, because the moon has such low gravity compared to Earth, it is much more difficult for astronauts to work out. No wonder they all look so flabby. But a university in Italy thinks they have found the solution. And what they call it is the Wall of Death workout, which is actually a lot less intimidating than it sounds. The Wall of Death is actually, it's a circle that is used for motorcyclists to do stunts. And if you can picture a motorcycle driving in a circle, but not on the ground, but on this wall, so they're perpendicular to the ground, right? In space, if you brought a wall of death to the moon, because of the gravity, astronauts would be able to run around in that wall of death. And according to these researchers, they say if astronauts did that 3 to 4 times a day while on the moon, that would be enough of a workout to keep them in good shape and make sure their muscles didn't atrophy. So if you want to work out like an astronaut, all you need to do, get a wall of death for yourself. Just saw this. A Magic card has just broken the record. The most expensive Magic card sale of all time. $3 million. And from what I'm gathering, if you're a real Magic fan, you would know that obviously it's an Alpha Black Lotus from 1993. It's got a pristine 10 grade, and it just sold at auction for $3 million. Now, I've never played Magic the Gathering. I don't understand it at all. So what makes this card worth $3 million? Do you just automatically win if you have it? Because if that's how it works, it doesn't seem exactly fair. But before it seems like I'm passing judgment on people who play Magic the Gathering, for me, myself, not as much anymore. But when I was a child, I collected a lot of sports cards, and you don't win anything for doing that. But I also did that when I was a child. Now I'm a grown up. No more cards for Hudson. We're in the midst of useless knowledge. Today's theme, all about Sony, since on this day in 1946 is when the company was founded. The question is, although Sony is known for many, many products today, their first product in 1946 is something you may not associate with Sony at this point in 2024. What was the very first product that Sony ever sold? We have many people guessing basically some form of music player. I see Susanna said that. We had Joy get in saying a record player. But of course, that is incorrect, because that's what we know Sony for now, right? That, movies, the PlayStation. But back in 1946, when Sony got started and it was known as Tokyo Telecommunications, they started selling rice cookers. And shockingly enough, the rice cooker that they were selling did not do well, but somehow the company was able to survive. It took them 12 years before they were known as Sony. Why'd they change it? I can't say. I guess people just probably liked it better that way. While we're talking about Sony, do you care that the name Sony is based on the Latin word sonus, which means sound? Now you know a little bit more about Sony. You can possibly impress your friends, or they'll just wonder why you're bringing any of this up. Today is my first chance to chat with a special guest. We've got Jordan from Apollo Ltd. with us today. Jordan, good morning. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Good morning. It's good to be with you guys.
Hey, Jordan, it's good to have you here. And we know you just put out your new album, Hello Human, so we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But first, you're ready to go. Is that coffee you're drinking?
Oh, of course.
You got the coffee ready? I've seen you as we were getting ready for this, sipping on that a lot. So I know it's early.
Listen, man, I've got 2 kids under 5, so my wife and I, we live off caffeine.
Hey.
So.
I get it. We're with you. So you seem to be coming to us from your very professional looking studio. Where are you actually, in what part of the country are you calling us from?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm in my home studio here in good old Nashville. Been here for a long time, so this is kind of home now.
Well, that's perfect because I want to know. I've never been to Nashville, actually, believe it or not. Yeah. So I want to know, and maybe your answer is different because you have kids, but what is like a weekend out for Jordan from Apollo Ltd? What is the fun thing to do in Nashville? Or I guess a good question would be, what do you do when you have family come into town and you have to entertain them? What do you do?
Well, Nashville's exploded in the past 10 years. So honestly, it's gotten easier to entertain people when they come to town. Now, what I do weekend to weekend is far less interesting. I mean, honestly, with as much as we travel, if I'm home on a Saturday, we're going to go down to a park. We're going to walk around, run around. We're probably going to go to Five Daughters Donuts, get some donuts.
There you go.
I mean, it's going to be a pretty chill day. If I have a Saturday with the family, man, it's a special day. So
yeah,
spend time with them for sure.
I totally get that. And look, I know you guys, you're traveling around. You've been busy making the new album, Hello Human. One of the things I was wondering about with the new album, because I've seen you guys talk about how you had a lot of influences of music from the 80s and early 90s, like Billy Joel and Paul Simon and Prince and stuff like that. I was thinking in the 80s, movies always had these big epic movie songs, especially at the end credits. What song off of Hello Human would you say is the big 80s movie showstopper song?
I mean, honestly, I think Future's Calling is probably that vibe for us.
Yeah.
It has that just how there's some songs that just feel like the ending credits,
yes.
It just feels like the ending credits to a record. I think that's Future's Calling. That song for us came about early, and Adam and I instantaneously just fell in love with that song. There was just something intangible about the way it made us both feel. And the album title comes from a lyric in that song.
Right.
So, I feel like it goes to show you, we kind of felt like that was an important one.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we love it too. We've been playing it here on RadioU a ton, and it does sound like the kind of song that you could see, especially with Future's Calling, the message and the title of it feels like it could totally play over, especially a high school movie from the 80s as the credits rolled. It'd be perfect for that.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
Yeah. Talking about Hello Human 2, what would you say you're most proud of as you put together the new album?
What are we most proud of? That we finished it.
I love that.
It was this record. We made our first album, was just on a whim, and it was just pure energy, and we had nothing to lose and everything to gain, It was, we were a new band and we were writing songs. Our second record, happened in 2020,
right.
During the COVID era.
So that doesn't even count.
Yeah, right. But actually we were super grateful because it gave us something to do, because we were literally on tour with on road shows. So we were out with Bethel, and we were out doing these awesome shows, and then boom, the next day we all get sent home.
Right.
And then we had this record, Nothing is Ordinary, Everything is Beautiful album during COVID era. And then we toured for 2-3 years, and then it was we got to go make another record. And we were like, what are we going to do? What are we going to say? What, like, I mean, you have these moments, guys, where it doesn't matter. Like, and we had to give ourselves the grace to be like, all right, what is the next chapter of Apollo Ltd? And so we started writing songs, wrote a bunch, and then we went through this middle period where I think we went through our own little creative crisis where we were like, all right, what do we want from this record? We got to make sure that we're saying something, and and then we came back and we finished it, and we feel like we finished strong. And it's a reflection of our lives in this season that we're both in, with him and his family, and me with mine. And so honestly, we're proud of this record. We're grateful for this album. I'm grateful that God gave us these songs, but I'm also really grateful that we finished it. I'm proud that we finished it and we finished strong.
Well, I mean, we're proud of you too. We're glad you finished it because we've been loving it here. So given off of that answer, this might be, you might hate to hear this question, but now what do you feel like after finishing Hell Like Human is the future for you? What is next? I mean, it could be shows, festivals. Like, what do you have that you know is on the horizon?
We will be, I think there's a interesting future ahead for us, and it's gonna involve shows and more music and content. And I mean, for us, man, I think that like we are just excited to have these songs out in the universe. We're excited to share these songs with people, and it's fun being able to jump on stage and sing them with people. And what's next? Doing what we do, man. Yeah. Like, we play shows and we go share music with people, and I'm grateful for that, for sure.
Yeah. I got one more for you then, and it's kind of related, but I like to ask this of so many artists, and that is, for you as a musician in a band, what is on your musical bucket list? What is there left for you, do you feel, to accomplish?
Oh, goodness. What's on my musical bucket list? I mean, sharing the stage with Paul McCartney. That's a bucket list. How about that? Can that go on the list?
Go for it.
I like the Beatles. Yeah, I mean, man, there's a lot of bucket lists in the world. I think Red Rocks would be awesome.
Yes.
Adams played the Ryman. I have not played the Ryman. So that would be a bucket list, a hometown bucket list for me.
Yeah.
Adam had that experience already, so it's old news for him. I'm not so privileged.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Ryman.
I'm just messing, but yeah, it'd be fun.
I believe that's got to work out for you guys. You got to be able to make that happen one day. So I don't know, the powers that be, get on it, because Apollo Ltd deserves it. The new album, Hell Like Human, is great. Future's calling. We've been loving it. Jordan, thanks so much for taking some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Seeing a lot of people now that we're about a week into May participating in No Mow May. At least I have to assume based off the state of their yards. But no, people are talking about it online. The idea of No Mow May, which started back in 2019 and just continues to gain steam. It seems every year when May rolls around, it's the idea that you let all or part of your yard go unmowed for the entire month, and that gives a chance for some wildflowers to bloom that would have otherwise been cut down, and that gives a chance for bees and other pollinators to do their stuff, since there are less and less wildflowers out in the wild, especially in certain areas. So I get the idea, the thinking behind it. For me, I don't know if I can participate, but I mean, we're a weekend. I don't think I've mowed my lawn yet this month, so maybe. But I do have a dilemma regarding mowing the lawn. It's kind of related, not really, but you may have heard, I've talked about this, that for a while now, I've had like construction crews doing work because there's like an internet box in the back of my yard or whatever, and so they're trying to upgrade, and they every once in a while show up and do stuff, but they've put these little flags that mark like the power line, the gas line, all this stuff that's buried in my yard that they can't hit when they're digging. And they've been doing this for like close to 2 months now. And so it's been a dilemma. What do I do with those flags? Because if you accidentally mow them, which I have, it'll screw up your mower because they're on little metal pegs. But I can't just leave them there. If I weed whack around them, that's going to mess them up. And also, how do I just know when do I know when it's okay to just get rid of them? So what I've been doing is picking them out while I mow and then putting them back in the yard in random places. I don't know. I really need some advice. I don't know what to do about these things. How long can they leave them there before I'm okay to just say screw it and take them out? Last night was the Met Gala. I don't know if you saw any of the outfits, the wardrobe, some of the highlights. One of the things that I saw a lot of people bringing up is that the influencers seem to outdo a lot of the celebrity looks last night. The celebrities didn't exactly bring it. I'm looking through here. I mean, I don't know what's supposed to be like cool and not when it comes to fashion, but I understand that some of the influencers definitely seem to go much more above and beyond the traditional celebrities when it comes to style last night. However, nobody outdid Zendaya, as is per usual. She not only did she have a great look, but she also actually followed it. Did you know the Met Gala always has a theme? And she actually followed the theme, which was Garden of Time. She wore like an entire bouquet of roses on her head. Pretty impressive. But then it brings me to my questions that I have every year about the Met Gala. It's like, first of all, how do you get invited? Like, why haven't I? I feel like I'm a big enough celebrity. I feel like I should get to be there. But also, more importantly, what do the celebrities do after they walk the carpet? After they show off their outfit and you like get inside, what happens then? What do you just walk the carpet and leave? Because that feels like a lot of trouble for not a lot of payoff, especially if you don't have like one of the top 5 outfits of the night. Who's even going to pay attention to you when you're getting outshined by Zendaya? We got a question here, and that is, what is a show or movie that you cannot wait or that you just know you will share with your children one day? When, if you have children, if they're old enough, you will definitely be sharing this show or movie with them, even though to them it may feel outdated. Some real good answers coming in, and a lot of them things that I would have never guessed people would answer to this. Brian must be a big anime fan. He says Naruto or Dragon Ball Z, which anytime you're sharing cartoons with your kid, I feel like you got a higher likelihood of them appreciating it. Then Billy, this is one of those. I would have never thought of this, but it actually is a great answer, and that is Three Amigos with Martin Short, Chevy Chase, and Steve Martin. I've watched half of the Steve Martin documentary that's new on Apple TV Plus, and it has made me want to go back and rewatch some classic Steve Martin. Three Amigos would definitely be a good choice. Regina, talking about movies or TV shows you know you want to share with kids one day, like your children. Regina, great answer. Definitely The Princess Bride. Yes, that's great for all ages. You can show that to a pretty young child, I'm pretty sure. And I mean, as they get older, they probably get more and more of the jokes. Also, Regina says she has a girl, then she's going to go with some like classic romantic comedies, like Amanda Bynes, she points out. Maybe like Big Fat Liar, not really a romantic comedy, but I watched that recently and it holds up. Okay, some other good answers coming in. This feels more like what I was expecting. Mark says Back to the Future. Yes, those are classic movies. And then this is a wild one from Will, who says The Big Lebowski. Interesting. What age did your child have to get to where you're okay with The Big Lebowski? A classic movie. Don't get me wrong. Just that feels like a little later on. Dylan understood the assignment. Dylan said Little Shop of Horrors. Yes, on this show, we unapologetically stand Little Shop of Horrors. That would be a great choice. Also, we heard from Carrie, who says, I just finished reading The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe with my daughter. Can't wait to show her the movie from I guess it was in the 2000s. That's another one I just watched recently, actually. Still good. That'd definitely be worth sharing with a young child. Nathan says The Muppet Movie, of course. Nathan, I think you made a typo. I think it should say The Muppet Movies, all of them. Show them all to your child one day, because that is an excellent answer. We heard from Melinda talking movies and TV shows you want to share with your children one day. Melinda, this is an answer I was expecting. The original Jurassic Park. That's a good one. You gotta read the room with your children. At what age will they not be scared? At least too scared. At what age will they actually be able to enjoy it? Chris says Spaceballs. Okay. Kimberly going a little more old school, saying the Clint Eastwood Western movies. That's a good answer too. I just like some of these are clearly like okay for kids, and some of these you gotta judge at what age is the kid going to be ready. John has a great answer. He texted in a lot, but the one that I really like is he says The Brave Little Toaster. That is, man, I haven't watched that in a while. I actually think I'm an adult. I think I should go back and watch that. See, my answers, I don't know, are they more boring or not? Because the first thing I was thinking was SpongeBob, because like who isn't going to like SpongeBob? And to me, I'm still going to get a kick out of it as a. I mean, I still watch SpongeBob now. And then the other one was the Avengers. Like going back through the Marvel movies, I think if you have a child, you got to show them like some of the original classic Marvel movies that were actually like good before they start getting into the stuff that's on Disney Plus now or whatever. Like being able to go back and see Avengers Endgame, you may not be able to watch it again for the first time, but seeing it through somebody else's eyes for the first time, I mean, that's almost as good, right?